Here I'm recreating an upland prairie. So, prairie smoke, world milkweed, lead plant, and later I'll put some pasque flower in. Are the plants I'm putting here, and I want it to look kind of formal. So, to make sure that it's well drained and it is hard for weeds to compete with these upland prairie plants, I'm making sure it stays dry by making a dry well. I dug deep as far as it could go. I think I hit some bedrock or concrete. Then I'm going to take pieces of this old cloth tarp. I buy cloth rather than plastic because the plastic are all made in China. I'm going to cover this up with this. You notice this here is solid. I didn't dig into that because that is where I'm going to put the plant on top, because I don't want it to be soft soil, because if it's soft, the roots are going to start to grow out to try to get established, and then if this was soft, it would settle, and then the plant would lose the good contact of these roots and have to reshoot out new roots. So I want everything that the plant to be on to be solid. Now I lucked out here because with this whole upland prairie and sand prairie bed I'm making here, there happened to be two world milkweeds here and here that were just naturally growing here. So rather than remove this and put this in some other place, like before I wanted it to be behind this here because the white flowers would look good with that dark gray brown background, because it was naturally occurring here, I'm gonna leave it be. So I did kind of like this right here, but all around it, I pulled out that dirt and I mixed washed lime findings and sand with this clay loam. Some of it dark, some medium dark, some of it pale subsoil. That's the paler color there. Around it there. So make sure it drains good. But that was there. And then I took two hard clumps of this here and I put it on the base to stand this one up. I should have done that one. But that's another way instead of doing this base. If you find a hard or two hard clumps that haven't been broken down, you can stand them on top of each other and put your potted plant on top, because that's what I did here. And then this one here was naturally growing, and this one here I'm going to put it on undisturbed soil, and then I'm going to put this cloth down there. Then I'm going to put this mixture of clay loam, lime findings, sand on top of this. Now the purpose is that this finer soil over time will seep down through the lime findings sand and start to slowly build up and make the drainage less. But if I put a big bucket of rocks and some old cloth, this will definitely slow that process. And that's what I want to do. I want to keep this well-drained upland prairie so the plants that thrive in that can thrive, and plants like, dandelion and white mulberry and stuff like that will have a harder time getting established. And of course, even though this is going to be an upland prairie, instead of sand, the top layer I'm probably going to have, instead of mulch, the top layer I'm probably going to have sand, because sand is easier to weed out of than clay loam. And that will make the upkeep better. And up here with these lead plant, I put the whole gallons, well, one of them was a 2-gallon, on the level soil. And then I dug all around and loosened it to make sure it was well drained. And as you can see, I'm making somewhat of a berm with these limestone, because what I want is from the front, the flowers to go low, a little bit low, medium to high. And sometimes to make sure it's well drained and it looks that way, you can make berms sporadically through there. And then after I put the dirt, the cloth, the dirt down, then I'm going to set a slow hose. That's what I call a slow hose. You see how it's slowly dripping? To slowly settle the soil. If I put it too fast, it'll be a big splash. And if I just stomp it, then I'm risking the compaction, which is what this whole process to make sure it's well drained I was avoiding.